Good morning, Central Oregon. This is Josh coming at you with episode 5 of On the Stoke, my podcast about life, Stoke, and the pursuit of shreddiness. Today I'm sitting down with my new friend, Andrew Bowlin. Pretty new to Bend, moved here from Colorado, and he was one of the co-founders of Grass Stick Ski Poles out in Colorado. So I figured I'd bring him in, sit down, have a couple beers, and talk about starting a small business in the ski industry these days. But real quick, Andrew, why don't you tell the people about yourself?
Thank you, Josh, for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I thought this was up in smoke, so I thought we were doing a weed smoking podcast, but this is, I'll make this work.
Oh, no, we'll work with Tokyo Starfish on that one later.
Okay, Tokyo, got you. No, I'm Andrew. I just moved to Bend from a little town called Steamboat Springs, Colorado, from the Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area originally. Went back and forth between Steamboat Springs, working as a ski bum, bartending, starting companies in the wintertime, and then in the summertime I ran a whitewater rafting business in Buena Vista for 13 years now.
Very cool.
Had a couple of buddies that moved to Bend, and there was an extra room, so I took advantage, and now I'm here. It was sort of willy-nilly, just needed to change a pace, and super happy to do it. This town is awesome, and everybody puts their shopping carts away, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, that's a good vibe. We don't have to have
good
shopping
vibe.
cart police out here.
Yeah.
Now, as far as in the ski industry goes, I know, obviously, like I said, you were a founder in Grass Sticks, or a co-founder in Grass Sticks, but you also worked with different snowboarding or ski camps, or...
Yeah, I worked ski school at Steamboat Resort for a number of years, and I also worked at the local youth program, Steamboat Springs Winter Sports Club, taking out little shredders every weekend, every Wednesday night, and just working on getting them better at doing the stuff that I like to do on skis. You know, like taking them off the bunny hill and putting 6-year-olds out on maybe some small cliff drops and running bumps and at times running gates with them. Just it's like how Midwest towns have their soccer clubs. We had our winter sports club, and it was pretty cool to have the same kids every week, getting them dialed in over the course of a year.
Very cool. Yeah. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about Grass Sticks, about how old's the company, and how did you get involved in starting that, and where did that all come from?
And I'm really excited because the whole process of starting this company with my buddy is the owner, and he's the brainchild of it. One of my best friends. His name is also Andrew. He's an Andrew Beckler. But talking to you sort of made me think about like what exactly happened over the years that I was there, because it was such a blur, man. Like went from 0 to 60 so quick. It's been nice to sort of reflect on it. But about 9 years ago or so, my best friend, one of my best friends, I got a bunch of best friends, but had just an awesome idea of trying to do something besides ski instructing, and just took the initiative to try and start making some bamboo ski poles. We had no idea what we were doing. We called them kitchen sticks at first because we made them in our kitchen, literally in a townhome in Steamboat. Outsourced a bunch of bamboo from different parts of the United States, sort of just flying by the seat of our pants. We wanted to make a product that sort of looked cool, was an alternative to normal ski wear. We knew that there was a couple competitors when we entered the industry, Panda Poles and Soul Poles, so we needed to differentiate ourselves from those two companies. And over the course of the 2 startup years, we changed bamboo a bunch of times, we changed ideas a bunch of times, we changed the way that we sold a bunch of times and the way that we presented to the community a bunch of times. And we finally dialed in a product that ultimately was a little bit different than everything else, and sort of had we caught a little niche in the community of skiing, So, all props to my buddy Andrew Beckler, if you're listening. He is the brainchild. He still owns the company, but I was just lucky enough to be one of his really good buddies, and I hopped on right away and did it for about 5 winters.
Very cool.
Yeah, got it to the point where I felt comfortable leaving. And yeah, I miss it dearly, but it was a really good learning experience. Learned a lot about the industry.
Nice. And I know you said you changed the way you sold them a few times. That was actually one of the questions I was going to ask. Are you guys more wholesale, like on your website, or do you sell to distributors and do like different ski shops? Is it kind of direct to customer stuff?
Yeah.
What's kind of the sales model on a small startup in the industry look like these days with technology and computers and the internet the way it is?
Sure. Great question. So when we first started, we didn't know what we were doing. The first 2 years were just, I wouldn't say a shit show, but we worked hard and we presented well. But behind the scenes, our bookkeeping was off, everything was off, and we pretty much just gave out a bunch of poles to our friends and ski instructors, and just to get the product out there and see what people thought of them. So when we first started, it was pretty much direct to consumer. We probably gave out more free poles than we actually sold. As they started getting traction, especially in the community of Steamboat, we changed our model a little bit. We came up with different ideas. Obviously tents at a base area is really important, setting up demo tents so that your products can at least be used as a demo for the day. But came up with some cool ideas like pairing up with local breweries in the area and driving to local breweries to do what's called brew and builds, where we would literally bring the whole shop to a brewery and we would let people make their own poles. And we would pair up with breweries so that if somebody bought a pair of poles, they'd get a free beer. It was beneficial to both companies because we made money and then they would stay to drink more beer. Stuff like that really helped out. As we continued getting bigger, we reached out to local shops as, any good company would do. And as we started getting, notoriety in magazines and stuff, big companies like REI started reaching out. And currently, unfortunately, I'm no longer with it and a part of this, but they're now in every single REI in the country, which is, no small feat.
That's a very big feat, yeah.
It's a fine balance of keeping your local direct-to-consumer, cool niche crowd, and then also getting them out, worldwide and thinking about how to make, these things a national commodity as opposed to just a localized Colorado thing. And they've done a really good job of that recently.
Obviously, if they're getting in REI stores, that's a huge deal.
A lot of shows. Went to the Boston Ski Expo, Denver Ski Expos over the years. So it's just a fine balance of figuring out what your best profit margins are, and then also figuring out what your best social margins are. And it's okay to cut costs to get the product known and have people know that it's a cool thing to use.
Right.
Yep.
That's cool. As far as when you guys first started up, did you find it was a hard industry to break into in the first place? Was there much resistance, or did you get a lot of support from your local community and friends and family that were kind of in the Colorado area? Or
we were, myself and Andrew, we were fairly involved in the community, so the community sort of gobbled us up and embraced us right away, especially all our ski school instructor friends. We put a lot of ski poles in ski instructors' hands who taught 150 clients a year, and then those clients would get interested. So, it was a sort of a spiderweb effect of us getting them in our friends' hands to then get them, to outside the community a little bit. But we were fortunate enough to win Steamboat Springs Entrepreneurship contest. We submitted a business plan, and we won a $10,000 grant as the most exciting new startup company. And
very cool.
That business plan, it was a lot of work to create that, but it, ended up paying off dividends, winning that grant. And Beckler's parents were a big help. A lot of people helped out throughout the way. We, just friends would come over and help us treat the bamboo, at no charge. We wouldn't
hang
have
over,
to
have some drinks. And
exactly. They just wanted to be a part of something that was exciting and snowballing. Not out of control at that point, but definitely snowballing downhill and gaining some weight.
Snowballing uphill almost.
Snowballing uphill, yeah. But Steamboat Springs, man, it's a great community to start a business in. Big Agnes is there, Honey Stinger's there, Smart Wool.
Honey Stinger, dude.
Honey Stinger's
That's good stuff.
Good stuff. Gets you jazzed.
Yeah. No, I know Bend has some of those pretty cool programs for entrepreneurs to apply to grants and stuff. So, if anyone is listening here in Bend, which let's be honest, most of my audience is here in Bend.
For sure.
Currently. Definitely worth checking out. Did you find it was kind of intimidating going in and applying for those kind of competitions, or did you guys have a lot of fun doing that? Or
double-edged sword. That I remember making that business plan with the three of us that were working with Grass Sticks at the time, and I remember being a little overwhelmed with forecasting out 10 years, trying to dial in what your sales could be in 10 years and working with all these ratios that we had to get to know. But it was very exciting. And, I remember when we were told that we won that $10,000, that was one of the more proud moments of my life. I wasn't necessarily the owner of the company, Andrew Beckler is, but I was a big part of it, and that was really exciing to.
That's cool to see something that you're passionate about.
Yeah,
being successful in that way.
It was super cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. And I know you've, for those listening, Andrew here works over at J-Dub now with me, so we've had a couple late night chats as we're getting off of work. I know you're interested in diving back into the ski community again in the future at some point or some way, shape, or form. Do you have any kind of vision or ideas of what you're looking forward to doing in the future? Anything you've learned from your time at Grass Sticks that you want to bring into the next project?
I have zero idea of what the next project could be. I know I want to work for myself again at some point. if you're ever interested in starting a company, I would do something with you, man. You got a good head on your shoulders,
I know a few
for
people.
sure. I just know that, working for yourself isn't for some people and is for some people. And the more that I work for the man or whoever the man is, I sort of realized that it was really nice to like set your own schedule and be able to do the things that you're passionate about during the day and, work at night if you need to. And so I miss that aspect of it. But in terms of starting something up, I don't know what that would be yet. But I do know that like the things that I learned starting up a business are invaluable to potentially starting up something new in the future. And like everything that I learned, all the, learning Excel, learning how QuickBooks works, calling up random people, random athletes to convince them to, use these on the house,
Right.
Everything, the social skills that I picked up. A lot went into the production of this ski pole, but a lot of came out, in my own brain, and I'm sure in the brains of the people that helped start it out. Like,
I'm sure, yeah.
Is definitely a beneficial time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Before we shift gears real quick to a slightly different line of questioning,
Yeah,
is there any advice you have for young entrepreneurs out there trying to break into the ski industry? And because it's a pretty well-established industry, so new stuff can be a little interesting and intimidating to try to put up against the big guns like Solomon or Ed or anything like that.
Absolutely.
But is there any advice you got for the young entrepreneurs out there?
There are a lot of big dogs in the field out there, and I think it's pretty important to find something that separates you. Find a target market that hasn't maybe necessarily been marketed yet, and go after them. Like Old Men love grass sticks, where the other two ski pole companies, or bamboo ski pole companies, they primarily went after, like the bro bras, the hippy dippies. And, we figured out that like old dudes want these, because they can customize them and, just find a target market, find a niche, find something that separates you from everybody else. And the biggest thing I learned is the days aren't short. You have, like, if you're starting something up, like you have to work a lot. And
Totally trying to get
I need one too, man.
Failing, yeah.
These are great. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, dude.
The biggest thing I was thrown off by, or like didn't realize was going to be the case, is just how much just man hours it takes to start something up and be successful and make money.
Yeah.
Like to ultimately every business owner's goal is to start stepping away from the business. And in order to do that, which the owner's doing now, he's like stepping away, he's able to go on vacation more. You have to work hard at the beginning.
Yeah.
And a lot of people,
persistency makes a huge difference on that front.
you gotta be stubborn.
Yeah.
Gotta be fucking stubborn.
Absolutely. Before we shift away, actually, real quick, if anyone's watching on YouTube versus listening on Spotify, we do have a couple of the polls in the background here, just to kind of show it off a little bit. And like Andrew was saying, you can customize grip colors, basket colors, what
Size, any
what
size you
size,
want.
what strap you want, all that kind of fun stuff. So pretty cool concept. And compared to some of the other bamboo poles, I do like that you have a little bit more of that traditional ski grip on there.
A little tackier.
Yeah, I like it. But shifting away from that, you've lived in Bend for what, like a month and a half now?
It's been a month and a half, sir.
Yep.
Yeah.
How you been liking it so far?
I didn't know what to expect coming here, but I freaking love it. It's honestly, for all the Benderites listening out there, Bendites, I'm sorry. See, that shows how long I've been here. It's not Benderites. It's one of the cleanest cities I've ever lived in. The beer scene is freaking amazing.
We do love our beer.
I couldn't believe it when I'd always heard about it. I love the job. I love working at J-Dub. I found a really good job to work at. Mount Bachelor is right there. There's golf courses everywhere, disc golf everywhere. The Phil's Trail System, mountain biking is badass. It's a very adult city. Like, everybody treats each other nice. Like, it's rare for me to go to a bar and be by myself and just continue to be by myself at that bar. Like, eventually you're gonna find somebody to talk to, or somebody's gonna come up and talk to you, which is like, I don't know. That should be a coveted thing in this day and age. A lot of times you go out and you're stuck sitting on your phone by yourself, but in this town doesn't seem to be the case.
No, you can pretty much always find someone to talk to around here. In a month and a half, is there something that you've been missing about Colorado that you feel like you haven't found here yet, or have you been kind of finding a lot of parallels between the two states?
In terms of activity and just having fun outside, it's very similar to Colorado. I guess, to be honest, I miss a little bit of the rowdiness of the place that I came from. You know, like the scene in Steamboat, it's honestly a big drinking town.
Yep.
And the party scene's a little bit different there, you know, like, which is good for me to not be a part of that anymore. Like, I don't need to work until 2 a.m. and then stay up till 4 a.m. afterwards. So I appreciate both places, but I do miss like a little bit of the chaos in Steamboat. You know, like that was sort of fun to be around every once in a while.
I was having a discussion with a friend, and feel free to give your 2 cents on this, but I feel like Bend, while it's an outdoor town with a very heavy focus on beer and drinking, the après sport scene in Bend isn't quite the same, in that Bend has gotten big enough and is, 30-minute drive to Mount Bachelor. It's not that long, but it's not like being right at the base of the ski resort. So everyone coming down to the bars after skiing or after mountain biking, you come into a bar, but you might be the only person in that bar who was out mountain biking that day or out skiing that day. There could be plenty of people who weren't. So like our après sport scene's a little bit of a different vibe versus like the going into Charlie's up on Mount Hood or some of the beer stew out in Whitefish, Montana, where it's literally everyone just got off the mountain and is like partying together.
Yeah, that's a great question, because I have noticed that, and that's what made me say earlier that this town is a little more mature.
Yeah.
I feel like this town's a little quicker to go to bed at night, and
This is for the middle-aged ski bum.
the middle-aged ski bum, which is what we're slowly becoming,
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Look at us, we're not young, we don't, no six-packs on this table right now.
Not that 21-year-old.
But yeah, I have noticed that a little bit. I think that there are a lot of bars and a lot of restaurants in this town. I feel like it might be a little oversaturated with the amount of people that actually want to go out after they're doing stuff. Like, me personally, since I moved here, I haven't really enjoyed an après, mountain bike ride yet, because I just don't know where to go. And that's something that this town could definitely maybe focus on, is like trying to get young folk to go do what they want to do during the day, and then figure out a way to get them involved at the bar scene afterwards, get them to want to go out afterwards.
No,
and there's a couple, like dive bars that I've noticed that are, really good at getting people in there late night, but man, 5 to 7, that's prime time for me. And I haven't noticed a crazy happy hour or anything going on. At least on my side.
I think it's a little bit more so in the wintertime. Like summer, there's so many different activities that things get a little scattered, but wintertime, basically everyone's out on the mountain if they're outdoors doing something. But it is still at that point, there's so many different bars that, everyone just kind of gets dispersed out by the time they're back into town.
Well, how have you noticed the bar scene change? And you were born and raised here, so like, have you noticed over the last 10 years, let's go, like, have you noticed?
I think the biggest change came through COVID, honestly.
Yeah.
Way to shift the interview.
I just had to ask that.
I like
sorry.
it. No,
I'm
no
sorry.
worries. I like
Cheers.
it. You're the first person to ask me a question on the
I don't
interview.
know. I like asking questions too. It's good to listen every once in a while too.
The biggest changes came about through COVID, 100%. Because pre-COVID, the employment market was a lot different in town. Basically, every bar had employees that stayed at those bars, and it was really hard to actually find a job in some of the downtown spots. And bars were open later. There was more consistent late night scene. It was just a lot more into that. And then I think with COVID, things shifted. People left the industry. People moved to new industries. People got day jobs. And there was a period of time in Oregon where there was a forced closing time. I don't remember exactly, but I think there was a while where everything had to be shut down at 9 o'clock. And so a bar like J-Dub, that was usually the earliest place to shut down, and we could go out and party somewhere else. Suddenly we were closing at the same time as every other bar, and I'd be finishing cleaning and there was nowhere else open. And then I think that forced people's habits to shift, and as they set closing time then to 10:30 and then midnight and then back to 2 finally, people's habits haven't quite shifted back with it.
The subtleness of a mentality change like that can be like, you don't realize it's going on, but you're like, oh shit. No, I have the opportunity to still go out, but I don't need to, because I learned that I don't need to.
Even today, if I get off work around midnight at J-Dub after cleaning, back in the day there used to be 10 other bars open downtown. Now there's maybe 2 or 3 that I might be able to make it to before they close. So it does make a difference for sure. Things shifted a lot in that respect. But
that's interesting.
Yeah. I think that was probably the biggest shift. As far as the brewery scene and stuff goes, that's all pretty well remained the same.
Yeah.
It did definitely slow down a little bit with COVID though, but that's kind of to be expected.
One more question for you.
Yeah.
Reverse interview here real quick.
I like it.
How many breweries are there in town?
A lot.
You might have told me, is this true, that there's no more breweries allowed to go out so that we can save the Deschutes and we're not grabbing too much water out here?
Not entirely that. There has been there's a limitation put out on new restaurants and breweries and stuff.
Gotcha.
Because breweries especially utilize so much water, and we are in a drought. And I don't know if it's still in effect or if it was a temporary thing, but there was at one point they put a temporary ban on like licensing new breweries because of how much water they take. But we're at like 30-something breweries in town.
30-something.
There are still some new ones popping up, so I know that it's not entirely banned. Like Van Henyen is a very new brewery that opened within the last like year. And I don't know if they maybe opened under the licensing of Boneyard, as it was a couple of the old Boneyard guys that did that. But yeah, we're at a lot of breweries, and we're at a very saturated brewery market. We're basically always bouncing back and forth between Portland and Hood River for most breweries per capita in the entire United States right now.
Holy crap.
Yeah, a lot of beer.
That's
a
awesome.
lot of beer. Yeah, shifting back to you.
Yeah, let's go back to me.
Yeah.
Back and forth, baby.
I like
Let's
it.
go.
Back and forth is fun. I know, like you said, you've been here for a month and a half. As far as I remember, you haven't skied Mount Bachelor yet, have you?
I have not. I've just taken a look at it.
What's something you're the most excited about this winter?
Oh, man. Well, just having driven by, it's a beast. I've heard they call it Mount Flatula. I'm from Steamboat, so I'm not used to skiing a mountain every day that's steep, so it won't be that much of a change for me. I think the thing I'm most excited about, the only place I've skied in the Pacific Northwest, if you want to call it the PNW, is Schweitzer. And I don't know if that's really Pacific Northwest or not. I'm excited to see what the snow's like. A lot of folks from Colorado accuse the Pacific Northwest of, it's pretty wet and heavy out here. So I'm excited to see
Cascade concrete is what a lot of people have called it. Although with climate change the way it is, I've noticed bachelor snow getting a little bit lighter than it used to be when I was a kid.
And that's awesome. I'm excited to find new trees that I want to go in between, and find new little ledges out in the middle of those trees.
Find new paths.
I'm going to ride with you hopefully, and you can show me around a little bit. But there's nothing like getting to know a mountain that is in your hometown. If you ever came to Steamboat, I could take you on an
I'd love to.
epic ride. I just know that mountain like the back of my hand. So I'm excited to just read the lines and read the snow and get a feel for certain things and figure out what the mountain wants to do. The mountain does a lot for you too. You got to figure out how it wants to help you out on your lines and on your day.
You got to learn and read the mountain.
Exactly. If you go out there thinking that you're going to dominate and just kill it every day, then you're in the wrong. And the mountain will teach you a lesson. And
Mother Nature's always on top.
100%. And I've learned that a lot through the years, whether it be rafting or skiing or any starting companies. You got to play to your environment, and I'm really lucky to be here, and I'm really excited to figure out what Mount Bachelor has to bring. I'm
very cool.
Stoked to ski with you, man.
Dude, I'm stoked too.
I'm really excited.
Speaking of that, I got one last question for you.
Go for it.
30 seconds or less. What does Stoke mean to you?
What does Stoke mean to me? Stoke to me means waking up every day excited for that individual day. I don't really plan too far ahead in the future, and could be a bad thing or a good thing, but I think the definition of Stoke to me is waking your eyes up in the morning, having your coffee, and being excited about the plans that you have going on for the next 24 hours. And just embracing those. They don't have to be plans, just embracing that particular day.
Enjoy that day.
Enjoy that every day. The climate of the world right now, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So
true facts.
Just wake up, be a good person, love everybody, be a good example to people that need to be led by a good example, and just have fun out there.
Very cool.
Drink good beer and have good friends and meet new people.
Amen to that, man. So real quick, if you want to throw a plug out for Grass Sticks, I know they might have sent you with a discount code for the listeners. And tell people where they can find Grass Sticks and support.
First off, I want to give a shout out to the 3 full-time staff members of Grass Sticks. We got Andrew Beckler, Travis, and Lizzie. Thank you guys for letting me talk about the company. Do me a favor, if you're interested in Grass Sticks, call Grass Sticks, ask for Andrew Beckler. His favorite question in the world is, what color grips should I get? So ask him that for me. That'd be awesome. But the code is just Stoke. If you want to go on their website, you'll get a 10% off code.
STOKE.
STOKE, baby. And they would love to make some custom-made bamboo ski poles for you guys. Support the product. They look cool. They perform well. they're just fun to have in your hands, man. So I really appreciate you asking me some questions. Glad I got to ask you too as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you snuck a few in there. For everybody listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube, you can always find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook at Josh Reports. If you want your daily Stoke reports here in Bend, going to be getting back into this the On the Stoke podcast. I kind of took a little hiatus over the summer because it's summer and it's hot, and I like skiing better than summer.
Me too.
But, fall's around the corner. We're just getting stoked for it here in Bend. I've got a few more interviews lined up in the next couple weeks, so check that out. And most importantly, my friends, don't forget, you want to say it with me?
Let's go.
Enjoy every day, y'all.
Enjoy every day.
Peace.
See ya.
Sweet.